Welcome to Uncopyable Women in Business. I'm your host, Kay Miller, also known as Muffler Mama. Now, I don't know if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, sales professional, or part of an organization, but I do know that you want to be more successful, earn more money, and make a bigger impact. Stay tuned as I, along with my guests, give you marketing, sales, and personal branding strategies that will give you an uncopyable advantage. Today, I am back with a repeat guest, and I'm with Jasmin Bonkowski, who is a certified hypnotherapist and mindset coach. I have to say, Jasmin, you and I know each other. You've been on the podcast before, and you've also worked with me personally. So it's great to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me back. It's a pleasure to be back. Really happy.
Yes, and it's really fun too because I'm in Seattle and you are in Berlin, and we've gotten to know each other over Zoom. And of course, I shouldn't say of course, but we've become friends and I've really enjoyed that. But you have helped me with hypnotherapy over Zoom, which I didn't even think was possible. But
that's all you need to do is to listen, and then your mind picks up the suggestions, and then it works also over Zoom as it would be in person.
And I'm sure, are a lot of people surprised that it works over Zoom?
Yeah, after COVID, it's a bit different, so people are more open to it. But I did it even before COVID over Zoom. I had clients in the UK, worldwide. It was always very nice to do it internationally, and so cool to meet you that way too.
And yeah. That's one thing COVID did for us. Zoom exploded and has opened up a lot of doors. And so I met you originally through Steve, and then you and I connected and really clicked. And I had some issues that you helped me deal with. And the first one was sleep, and that has helped tremendously. We did.
I'm glad. Sleep is so important.
Sleep is so important. And as I'm sure we'll talk about, it's related to weight. And then you actually did help me specifically with weight loss, and it's been very effective. As listeners of this podcast, you probably would like to lose some weight. And that doesn't apply to everybody, but probably, I don't know, how many percent would you say?
It's difficult. It's different for everybody. And it's not just about losing the weight, but feeling better in your body. That's how I actually started with it. Leaders go first. So I wanted to see how it works. Been a hypnotherapist before. And then I just said, okay, let's see how it works for weight loss, because I've been on the roller coaster, magic supplements, keto, low carb, all this kind of nonsense, which didn't work and led me back to square one. And then I just tapped into the power of the mind that we can explore here further. And it's been marvelous since.
And you have such a success story. And you've shown me some before and after pictures. And we'll see if you're...
Now that I need to get courage to publish them, but
I'm brave enough, because it's really amazing. And yes, I say weight loss, but it really isn't weight loss. Weight loss is really, when you think that way, it gets your thinking probably in a way that isn't as effective, right?
Yeah, so we should say fat loss, actually, because we don't just want to lose weight, we want to lose fat. But the general public refers it to as weight loss. And if you go into the detail, then you shouldn't say losing as well, because the mind doesn't like to lose things. But then it gets really into the nitpicking. And all that I want is that somebody feels comfortable. It doesn't need to be the social media, high polished magazine, Photoshop thin, which isn't even real, as we know from the takeouts that are published about the VIPs too. So it's about creating a sustainable lifestyle that works for you, which isn't cabbage soup or cutting out pizza.
It's about being healthy and having your body work for you. And as I've gotten older, it's really your lifestyle, what you eat, how you move, really affects your quality of life. I can't believe what a difference there is, even at my age, between people like me, I will say, that pays attention and is careful about my health, and people who just don't pay any attention. So when you are in business, running a business, working for a business, pretty much any of those situations, you have stress And I think those cause a lot of trouble, right, for women who want to maintain their health. So how does the stress part affect you and your ability to control your weight and health?
It affects us a lot, especially stress. And our bodies still function at the cavewoman time, even though we would say we're involved now, but the brain and the body really stick to our old biology. So stress was always perceived as danger, making us run away. And then eating high calorie dense foods to get back the energy to run away the next time the tiger comes around. But now that we don't need to run, we still crave the foods because our bodies release cortisol, and that makes us crave all the cookies, all the chips, the chocolate back in the drawer. So actually, we have to work with biology to actually see, oh, how could we fight stress in another way than with high calorie dense food? Because an overflowing inbox, might not be great, but it's not a life-death situation anymore. So that's really, you shouldn't eat your emotions. And that's why it's really crucial to find other coping mechanisms to deal with stress.
And so what suggestions do you have then when you find yourself in that stress eating state of mind? I know you also through your hypnotherapy help with that. Yes.
And I'm guilty of that. I sound like you know it all, but I've been the stress snacker at my desk. I've been a corporate job before, and there were a lot of deadlines to meet and all this kind of stuff. So I know that. I've been on the roller coaster for a wild ride. So most of all, like our brain likes to automate because this saves time and energy. So all what I, for example, did when I started this journey was just to put the snacks in a different drawer, because when we do it automatically, we just open the drawer, shovel in the chocolate. But once I opened the drawer and it wasn't there anymore, it becomes conscious and you realize, oh, actually, I don't need chocolate, or I would have eaten it just because it's there. So this is the first to scramble up the patterns of your habits to make them conscious. The other thing really is just take a breath, just step aside and really feel into it. What do you need? What the emotion underneath? Because cravings are not hunger. They're just there to help you cope with the emotion underneath. So do I need comfort? Do I need a break? Should I go just for a walk? Would also help. A lot of times we're also just dehydrated. So does it still stick around if I take a glass of water? So really, this is the crucial part where hypnosis can help to get down to the emotion that's underneath it. And the emotions I had underneath all my cravings I was like, oh my God, I would never have figured that out on a conscious level, because often it goes so far back. I had a client, she was not allowed to eat sweets at home. Her mom didn't like it. And so she snagged them secretly when she got some from grandma. And that's why she always felt, even as an adult, to snag secretly and felt guilty about eating sugar, which of course isn't great. But then she binged when she had them because she was still sticking to the habit since she had when she was 7.
That's very interesting. And our daughter actually went to a Christian school, mostly because we thought the schools in this area were not good enough for our child. But they had really strict rules about things like dancing. And of course, you shouldn't be drinking in high school, of course. But it was so strict. And I felt like a lot of the kids, not my daughter, of course, went crazy after they got out of that environment that was so locked down. So that's something that has to do with your mind that you might not even realize that came from your past. I do really like that kind of pattern interrupt philosophy of move the snack. Where is the snack? Is it in your drawer? Put it in a different place, maybe across the room, and then think about what else could you do? Like you said, a walk or just a break, going to talk to someone or something like that. So that's a great, really specific tip, which I love specific tips.
Yeah. And which help the best. If you've got action steps that don't feel overwhelming, really the advocate of small changes, because otherwise we've all been there. Cutting out the carbs is a lot and it doesn't really help. So that's why small and little with the compound effect leads to a lot.
And so why does it not work to think about rules and what you should not eat, because that's a lot of what we think. Okay, we can't have this, we can't have that. We're just eating fruits and vegetables and lean protein, grilled chicken. So anyway, that's a lot of the programs that you hear about when counting calories, counting points. How does that work against us?
So the as I said before, our brain is like cavewoman mode still. So it really doesn't like to be restricted. First of all, think of the white bear thing. If I tell you don't think of a white bear, what happens? You think of the white bear. So the same as I can't have cookies, I can't have carbs. All that the brain then focuses on is on the restriction. So it actually wants it more. And as we know, willpower taps out faster than a phone on 2%. So that's not stretched forever. If you've got 30 ads running, and we always think that we have just to flex more willpower and that this will work, but it doesn't, because willpower is finite. The brain is not wired that way. And a lot of food rules lead to anxiety and guilt. So if you then feel, oh, I cannot have this, I shouldn't have that, I should have this, then it becomes a vicious cycle because you feel so bad, you feel anxiety driven. Then, of course, you feel that you need comfort. Where does comfort come from? Like we had before, we crave foods that give us this dopamine hit, and they are usually all high calorie, high density and energy. So then the body stores this away and rewires this. Oh, well, we feel bad. And if we want to escape an emotion, then we just need to hit ice cream. Then we just need to get sugar rush. And then it starts the whole cycle again. So it's really not depriving yourself. I'm all about things you said before, like more protein, more salad, more veggies. That's all great. So it's rather adding healthy stuff than taking other stuff away. So you don't feel deprived, and then even you want it less. If I tell you, yeah, you can have cookies, you don't desire them as much. You're doing so well with that. I didn't tell you anything what to eat or not to eat, but it just feels then more natural if you address the emotion underneath than if I tell you you can't have something, which just makes it more like a toddler and don't touch this. And what do they do?
Exactly. Makes you want to do that more. A couple things that you said. First of all, willpower is finite, that you said. So I would like to talk to you. Why is that? Why should we not rely on willpower? There's one thing, like you said, you think about the thing that you don't want, and then it makes you want it. Willpower, it makes you feel like you're weak if you can't just say no. What is that all about?
Yeah, so we've been told by billion-dollar industries that, you just need to have more willpower. But this is a myth. It's not relying that you just need to push harder. And we've all been there. We've done great after a day or two, and then we just raid like a raccoon the kitchen on midnight because we can't just take it anymore. And willpower, the brain isn't just wired that it's creating lasting results with willpower. So that's taps out very quickly because the brain's always, even if you do a diet, because the brain's then wired, okay, we start now. The cabbage soup diet goes for 4 weeks, and then it knows after 4 weeks, oh, it's over, and then we just go back. So that's why it's really creating a healthy lifestyle that works for you. And that's also why a lot of diets don't work for you, because they're just not made to fit into your schedule. They're a lot of work. You don't like the food. Because if you choose broccoli and chocolate, then you would always go for the comfort food. But if you address the emotion underneath, what you really need, then you get comfort elsewhere and you're nourishing your body differently. So that's why it's all about what's between the ears and not what's on the plate.
I totally agree. I totally agree. You've had a great success with weight loss. We probably don't need to talk about poundage here, but like you said, it's not like you said, it's not the weight, it's the fat. But when I've lost some weight too, I haven't had a ton of weight. For me, it's, as I told you, it's been like that last 10 pounds. Those last 10 pounds are always the hardest to lose. So when I talked to you and you worked with me, normally when I listen to the recording that you made for me, because we did a session, then you did a recording. a lot of times I don't hear it because I get into this such a state of relaxation, and it's a wonderful, very pleasant experience. But after listening to it for quite a few times, I have heard most of it. And it's such a positive message. It's not, you don't want to eat this or that. It's more, I enjoy healthy foods. I enjoy the feeling of being light, and I enjoy movement, and just planting all these positive messages more from the do this and this is good rather than saying don't eat that or don't do this. And I think that's so powerful. And as I've said, I don't know what it was 2 or 3 months ago, or maybe 4 months ago.
Like that.
And I do feel like my mindset has changed around food. I find myself eating a smaller portion and thinking, you know what? I feel good. I don't need the other half, which I could eat the other half, and I would probably feel like crap if I did. So, I mean, your message is so different, really, from the whole entire diet industry, as it's called, which, look around, it does not work. So you've got some extremely effective tools that, I don't know, I can't say effortless, but with much less effort. And you listening here are probably a high achieving person. You like to have control. And Jasmin, you said some of those traits that make us successful in other areas can work against us, right?
This podcast is sponsored by my latest book, which I co-authored with my husband, Steve. It's part of the Uncopyable series, and this one's called Uncopyable You. Create a personal brand that gets people to know you, like you, trust you, and remember you. Order it now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your favorite independent bookstore.
So we like to be in control, because if we feel we are in control, then our brain has the feeling something is certain, they can predict it, they know we are safe, because this is all the brain. Now it sounds like we're bashing it, but all that the brain and the mind is doing is to protect us and keep us alive, and so far did a very great job. It just picked up some habits along the way that are not beneficial to us anymore. And when it comes to weight loss, we of course want to be in control too. So that's why there are these strict rules, or the food rules, where everybody says, oh, just eat less, move more, calories in, calories out. It sounds great, right? But the body, what could be so It's so simple. And then still the scale gives us the silent treatment. And I had a closet of jeans that hadn't seen daylight in a very long time. We want to be in control there too. But as we can compare it to business as well. The body is not project management as we know it from business. Of course, there are KPIs, like we said, where you said, oh, I want to lose that amount of weight, fine, in that amount of time, which is reasonable. And of course, you need to set some goals. However, the body's not working as straight as business. So they're not, right? You can't get the full metrics. Additionally, everybody's different. Every metabolism is different. It's like our fingerprint. So that's also why a lot of diets just don't work for a certain person, because they're just differently wired, which isn't a bad thing, which just take us in that we need a plan that works for us. And that's also then possible to stick to it, as you said, right? You figured out now a way that you just eat less. It feels natural, which doesn't necessarily mean cut out cake and all the stuff. You just desire it less because you could have it. There's no binge eating. There's no big cravings. And even if you had it, the major thing is to feel good about it. And often we feel bad about it. So it's this all or nothing, like, which leads back to control, this black and white. If you had a cookie and then you just shame yourself, or nothing is working, I'm such a screw up, I'm such a failure, I can't even last 2 weeks, stuff like that. So we get into the spiral, and then we're like, okay, throw everything out of the window. And weight loss is more like a stock market. You have a direction, and it sometimes goes up and down. But if you had a bad day, you wouldn't sell your whole portfolio. And the same is with weight loss. It's just like really sticking to what works over time, because once you start it, as I said, it's a lifestyle change and not just a diet change.
And really, the scale is so misleading.
You're an enemy, actually.
Yeah. And the BMI, we talked about Olympic athletes who say, according to their BMI, they're obese. So definitely we should not be a slave to the scale. And I always go by, number one, how my clothes fit, because we all save our clothes we're going to get into, which I have gotten back into some of them, but it's been a really pleasant experience. There's something so rewarding about knowing that you have agency over your body and what you're doing. And I've momentum. I mean, you can literally, I never knew this, you can eat half a cookie.
And feel fine. Right?
Feel fine. And you take small bites and you savor it and you say, this is great. I love this cookie. So having, like I said, with your message through the hypnotherapy, and seriously, I highly encourage you to, I'll just say, hire Jasmin. It's been a life-changing experience for me, and throwing out a lot of the old things that I used to think.
I mean, don't add us all the time, because the food industry is a big moneymaker, and a lot of diet supplements and all the stuff, it's a business thing. They don't have your best interests in mind, but they're just be careful there to buy into the magic fixes.
And the food industry, as we've talked about, they want their food to be addictive, to be appealing.
Yeah, which is just, there was one point in humankind where all food was organic, right? And then some people figured out that you can mix salt and fat and sugar to a certain bliss point that just gets you addicted and eats more of it. And I find this really sad. Of course, there are great food companies as well who do the opposite. But some big players really hacked into our brain. And so it's not our fault if we just can't eat ownership. They are designed this way. And this is what's really upsetting.
Right. And it's the way of the world. I want to give one of my tips that you reminded me of. And then we only have a few more minutes. So I would like you to give some specific tools that you talked about. But one thing that I have noticed is when you eat French fries or pizza and then you eat soda or you drink soda. And I always drink diet soda, which is, oh, great. This doesn't even count, right? But
sounds good. Sounds better.
If I eat French fries or pizza and I drink water, oh my gosh, I eat so much less of the French fries and pizza because it's not that salty, sweet thing that gets you going, right? And that's one of my hacks.
Very good.
If you drink water. So
it's anyways a great way to, first of all, drink more water and then drink water overall, because the most beverage have more calories than our food has.
Interesting. Yeah.
And especially in the US, right, or North America in general, of all the big sizes, which always amazes me as a European.
Oh, yeah, as a European, I know Jasmin was saying, wow, everything's just so large. So give us some of your hacks. As I said, the brass ring is to really work with you, and I highly recommend it. It is such a small investment into changing your life. And again, I can't say effortlessly, but it does make it much more easy and pleasant. Tell us some more of your hacks that we can use in the meantime.
So first of all, what's really great to understand is that food isn't the enemy. And we talked about emotions. So neither are the emotions the enemy. You just have to figure out what is the cause why you eat it. So as said before, there's a great way just to pause and to stop, think about it, take it in. What are you actually needing to pinpoint the emotion, and then see if you can get it from a different source, because even if you eat a pizza, the problem is still there. And one of my hacks was that I just put a Post-it note in the fridge. So I just wrote down there, Jasmin, the answer you're looking for is not in the fridge. Which just made it so conscious, because otherwise it's just our habit that we get there. And now food is available 24/7. We don't even need to leave the house anymore nowadays, which is crazy. First of all, it could all be a great thing to get out and get your food and to really get less processed food, because whatever the body cannot recognize, and all the processed food have a lot of things and chemicals that the body can't recognize, and all of that, they would just file it away like a junk email and say, oh, let's store this as fat because we don't know what to do with it. So that's another thing, to eat less processed food. Then find movement, and I'm extra saying not hit the gym hard. And it might not be working for you as well. I'm not BFF with the gyms. Like I don't really like it, and that's fine. But because we always think black and white again, that we just have to spread it out, and until then, it doesn't really count, right? But gardening, taking the dog for a walk, even walking without a dog if you don't have one, if you go swimming, hiking. I did planks and arm circles while the kettle was boiling water, or something like that. So you can use small increments and they compound up to a lot. Or maybe you find movements that you enjoy and just try different things. What kind of works for you? For example, I was super impatient, and I said, okay, now I need to teach myself patience. And I picked up hula hoop, which of course the first time it always dropped. And I was like, okay, don't get mad, which was a great exercise for controlling my emotion. And then I just tied it to something I liked. So now I can watch Netflix and swing the hula hoop, which is like a win. And the brain thinks, oh, that's great, that's fun, let's do this again. So find things that or if you have a long podcast list, listen to all cast episodes while you're walking, and then you've got a double win. So the more rewarding you put something together with, which is in food, the better it is. So that's, of course, hydration is another big one. We're often like totally dehydrated, but really feel if a glass of water actually helps you more. And if you're still hungry, fine. And one of the other mantras is, if you don't want to eat an apple, you're not that hungry.
That's interesting. I like the thing you said about water, and I don't always follow this habit, but I try to, and that's first thing in the morning. I have a glass of water before my coffee. Anything else.
It's very healthy. We've been 8 hours, or maybe for some even less, with our water. Which is sometimes a full work day, basically, if you're awake. So it's a huge thing, and we lose a lot of water during the night. Also, like the phone can help. I often forgot to drink when I was in the office because stress, life happens, right? There's so great water tracking apps. There's a camel, and whenever you drink a glass of water, like the desert flourishes and all this kind of stuff. So it can even be fun, and it's gamified. The better you get, then you just want to lose your score, and your body loves it. It weighs 70% water. It's the best thing you could do.
And I think that's a very interesting comment about the apple. I'm hungry. And I even remember my mom, I'd say, I'm hungry. You can have a peanut butter sandwich. I don't know what she'd say. I'm like, I'm not hungry for that. And like you said, not that hungry. I want ice cream. No, it's a good way to gauge your food. So that's really good. Do you have one final hack or piece of advice that will help us as women business owners and entrepreneurs and employees, whatever, who are stressed out, have a lot to juggle? What would be a closing thought and what we can do to manage this better?
Yeah, first of all, like really feel into you and see it as your journey, and don't let somebody else dictate it. Neither the scale nor any high polish magazines. This has to work for your life and not the other way around. And everybody's body is different, so they respond differently to food or to exercise. And sleep is a big important thing. If you just sleep right, which I wore the badge of honor of sleeping less and pride myself, I can survive on very little sleep. But if you get that right, there's been so much research that this is tied to the hormones you need to lose weight. And just if you sleep, which sounds like a dream, right? You just can't sleep off weight. So that's super cool. And what I encourage everybody, and what I was really hard on myself and punishing myself, and just be kind to yourself. As I said before, it's underneath that. Maybe it's even somebody else's limiting beliefs you picked up about weight. It could be your parents, magazines, culture, whatever. And just go down to the bottom of it. It might not even be yours. And as soon as you resolve it, food is no longer the enemy and you can really flourish and thrive.
Right. I like that. Don't beat yourself up about this because
we're so hard on ourselves.
We're so hard on ourselves. We really are.
We're so hard on ourselves. Why? You don't have to fit a certain mold. All you need to do, and as said before, right? Maybe some people don't want to lose weight but want to gain more energy. It applies the same thing, right? I'm coming from a very high fancy car country with all the great brands here. So you wouldn't feed or put like bad fuel in a high class car, would you? So it's the same for our body. So we just run better like the Porsche with better quality food and fuel.
And when I am in the mode of eating and when I am in the mode of eating well and moving, I feel so much better. Yes. So yes, I must be a Porsche.
That is, of course you are.
Now, Jasmin, you have a resource that I'm going to share the link to so that people can get this, and I highly recommend it. If you want to just give us a quick overview of what that is, how that will help people if they get this free resource.
Yeah, so I created a resource for you. So we're just like already trying to figure out some questions that will go down to an emotion. As said before, emotions are underneath every craving. So you can already start getting into it and think about it, which was for me a light bulb moment where it was like, okay, actually, when do I eat? Why do I need it? And then a short guided thing where you literally can tap into the future and actually see where you want to be in a couple of weeks, a couple of months, which is different for everybody. But it's such a strong pull factor that you don't label food as good or bad anymore, but label as food. Does it bring me forward or does it take me backward? And as I said before, like a cookie wouldn't take you backward a lot. And it's just about the consistency to keeping at it. It's there to kick off your journey wherever you want to be, if it's more energy or if it's weight loss, but you can just make it yours.
And so grab that resource. And Jasmin has some interesting twists on looking forward and where you can find help from yourself. And that's all I'm going to say. It's a little bit mysterious, but through the process of going through the hypnotherapy with you, you introduced me to some perspectives I'd never thought of. So it's been very powerful. I feel better. I fit into my clothes.
You've been skeptical before, which was myself. When I started, I was like, this is never going to work. And then you showed me. And in this case, all you had to do is wait. And
although you helped me with sleep too. You helped me with sleep.
It's true. And see, it ties together in perfectly, sleep and weight loss. And hypnosis is really more like a flashlight, where you put the flashlight on a specific issue and all the rest fades out. And that's why it's just so powerful just to listen to it. And I, like you, listened to recordings at night, did some sessions, got the emotions figured out, and then it just becomes effortlessly. It's not the hassle, not the roller coaster, not white knuckling through, not feeling deprived. And then it just becomes such a beautiful story, which might sound crazy for someone right now. And I would say most like, can't be that easy, but actually it is if you understand your mind. But so far, it's not so broadly put out there how the mind is wired.
So we're going to have to close out there. I could go on, but please check out Jasmin's resource. I can't say enough about the power of what she does. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks again, Kay. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Uncopyable Women in Business. If you enjoyed the show, you know the drill. Please like, share, rate, and review it on your favorite platform. I also invite you to join my private Facebook group, Uncopyable Women in Business. See you next time, and always remember to be uncopyable.